everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah Dye, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. But anyway, I upload videos about 2 times a week to 3 times a week. And today, I'm doing my first ever baking video on this channel. I've never baked on this channel. I mean, I've baked before. Just want to let you guys know. But I've never actually done a video on this channel where I'm baking. I don't even think I've done real cooking videos other than maybe like a routine video or a day in my life kind of video. But other than that, there have been no recipes until today. Today we're going to be doing a soccer ball cake. It's supposed to look like the soccer ball is sticking out of the cake or out of the ground, essentially. Right here I have my recipe for chocolate cake, and this is what we're going to be using for our base for it. I have one already laid down. I have a little bit of icing underneath that I have secured it with. Make sure it doesn't move or anything on me because that would be bad. This cake board, I got it at Walmart for like $12 on clearance. It's technically not a cake board. I think it's more of a tray kind of situation. But I use it for a cake board. I'm very ingenuitive and ended up doing it like that. And then I also have them wrapped all day in this. I made the cake last night, wrapped them in here, did not refrigerate them. Just so you guys know, if you don't already know this, refrigerating your cakes can dry them out often. Jared's in the kitchen. And so, make sure you guys don't refrigerate them until you have the icing on. If you refrigerate them to cool them down faster without any kind of protection on them, like some plastic wrap, they're going to dry out crazy fast. So just make sure you do that. You can use a simple syrup to keep it moist. This cake on its own is so moist that I don't want to add more moisture into it because then it will become very hard for me to work with. Some cakes are kind of like that. Some you can add things like that to it. But this one's more of a delicate kind of recipe, so we want to be careful here. So I have my chocolate cake. We're going to put this to the side. And for the frosting today, I'm actually using canned frosting. I know it's horrible. I can't believe I'm doing this. Normally, I'd make my own signature chocolate buttercream recipe, but for this video, I ended up diluting this chocolate fudge from Pillsbury, not sponsored, with a little bit of heavy cream, just to make it a little more spreadable because it tends to be a pretty thick kind of frosting. So now that we have our cake down, we are going to go ahead and spread some of this on. I'm just going to use an offset spatula. If you don't know the purpose of an offset spatula, it's there to help you keep from getting frosting all over your hands because, let's be honest, it's no fun. Now I do have 2 jars of this, which is probably what you'll need for the cake, seeing as you're going to use it on the inside, and then you're also going to have to do like a very fine layer of it on the outside. This is more of a naked cake situation, to be honest, which I love naked cakes, and I like to build up the naked cake with a lot of frosting on the inside of the cake. So, since this is a soccer ball cake, I'm not going to show you guys how to do the soccer ball feature. If you guys want me to do that, I'll show you guys in another video. At the moment, Jared is in the kitchen, hard at work, trying to do some mathy stuff. Jared, if you want to say hi, you can.
Hello.
He's trying to figure out the soccer ball because I tried to do it and then I was having issues with it. So once we figure out a good system, I will have Jared do his own video on this channel where he talks to you guys about how to do it. He just gave me a stare, but I just volunteered him to come on the channel. If you guys want to see Jared on the channel, make sure you guys give this a big thumbs up. And like I said, subscribe to see that video. Hopefully in the next couple weeks, we will show you guys how to make the soccer ball feature of this cake. But like I said, for this cake, I had Jared do it because, like I said, I was having trouble with it. So on this cake, I am using about an entire jar of this fudge just for the center layer. The reason I'm doing that is I want to build up a really good height on this cake, and then we're going to put a bunch of delicious fillings on the inside, little cookies and chocolate chips. So this isn't going to be like super duper thick, but thick enough that you get a nice even layer. I am going to scrape off my spatula just a little bit and just kind of smooth out that frosting. Yeah, you won't see it, but I'd rather it be a little bit on the smoother side so it looks nice and even when you cut into it and see that amazing chocolate cake on the inside. So now we're going to put this to the side, and we also are going to put our cake to the side. I'm actually going to bring over, before we put on our second layer, I'm going to bring over a board, and we're going to chop up some Oreos. So I have a little cutting board here. Get my sharp knife. Try not to drop the cake because that would be really sad, seeing as I have to take this to work tomorrow. So I have some Oreos here, and we're going to take quite a few of these, however many you want. Honestly, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So literally just do whatever you think would be good for this cake. I'm going to do probably about 7 different cookies, and I'm just going to chop them up. Nothing too fine, to be honest. I just want it to be chopped enough that it doesn't like make the layers lopsided, but at the same time you get a nice crunch in there. A cool way to do different cakes is if you want there to be something on the inside of your cake, it might not be a bad idea for you to add in maybe like your chocolate frosting, whatever frosting you're using on the outside, or you can switch out and use vanilla if you're using chocolate on the outside. It's up to you. And then you can take chocolate chips, you can take candies, and just kind of sprinkle it on top. Now, make sure when you sprinkle it on top, you do a pretty even job of it, because if you don't, then like I said, it's going to be kind of lopsided and funky, and you really don't want that to happen. So now I'm just finishing up chopping up these cookies. I ended up grabbing quite a few more than I need, but I really don't care because it's going to be good. So now that we have these cookies like this, we are going to take them on our cake, and I like to just make sure that they're pretty even, and I don't go crazy with it as far as like dropping them on the cake. Like I said, I want this to be super even. I don't want this to be crazy, so I am being very cautious and aware of how I'm putting these on the cake. I am going for the bigger pieces more than anything, just to get them on the cake. And that cream, leave it in there. It is so, so good. Once you cut into the cake, you get the chocolate, you get the Oreos. We're going to add a couple chocolate chips on this layer. It's going to be so freaking awesome. So I'm just going to keep putting these on. And like I said, Jared's hard at work in the kitchen, so if you guys do want to see that video, you want him to show you guys, or you want more videos with him on the channel, then make sure you guys comment down below and like this video. So I'm just putting on my Oreos everywhere. This is so much fun. I love baking. Now, I'm not going to go crazy, like I said. Trying to keep it nice and even. I know I said that multiple times, but I want to really stress, you want to be a little bit cautious about how you're putting them on, because you don't want a cake that's leaning or tilting or smushing. You want it to be kind of even there. So now that I'm finished with these Oreos, I'm going to put them to the side, and we're going to come back to our cake. I'm going to take a little bit of chocolate chips. I have dark Hershey's chocolate chips here. Now this one has not been opened, so I'm going to grab some scissors. Hey Jared, can you hand me the scissors from the kitchen? Yep. It should be over there by that other mess of stuff. Apparently did not prepare for this. Are they there? If you guys are going to do a video on how to cook, you probably should have everything right in front of you. You know what, Jared? Don't worry about it.
Okay, sorry.
You're good. So these are mini chocolate chips, or actually, no, they're regular. I thought he got mini, but we're just going to sprinkle these everywhere. Mini usually would work better for this, just because it kind of lays a little more evenly. Not as bulky, but I really, really don't care because this is going to be a super mad looking soccer cake. Now, whatever you use on the inside, if you do end up using like a coconut filling, you use a cannoli filling or something, if you do want to kind of pipe a chocolate border around the edges, since it's all chocolate, you don't have to do that. So now I'm going to go in with my second layer. I did have a few issues with this in the pan. Oh my goodness, it's so moist. I'm going to lay it on top. Before I do anything else, you can see it's very, very crumbly. Just going to put it as I want it to be. And now I'm going to go off and dilute some more of the chocolate icing, and we're going to get to frosting. Alrighty, so I probably have frosting all over me, but that's because I kind of got in a fight with eating it. But I have my diluted chocolate frosting, still very, very thick. You don't want it to be watery in any means, but I use a little bit of heavy whipping cream just to dilute this frosting. I do have a little brush. It's actually a paintbrush that I use for baking, and I'm just taking it to just kind of get some of those crumbs that are on the side off, because the way the neck cakes work is it really is just one big crumb coat, and that's it. You just kind of leave it there with a crumb coat. So that's where I like to get some of the crumbs off, because the crumb coat is going to be our final coat. And I'm just going to get them off my cake board, because I have gotten quite a few crumbs while moving the cakes back and forth. Now, I will do a video eventually on how to transport cakes. For this cake, I honestly did not get the boxes I was supposed to, so it's going to be a little more difficult than I'd like it to be. We're going to plop on some of this delicious fudge frosting. Now, because this is so sweet, we're not going to put like a crazy amount, but we're going to put a nice amount here. Now, if you do want the recipe for my chocolate cake, make sure you guys stay tuned. I will be doing a series where I kind of talk about cake baking and my tips and tricks. So you're going to ice this on. I'm just going to tilt. Now, this is not a turntable, but I'm using it as such. Now, something you can do, this is totally up to you if you want to do it this way, you can put little parchment strips all around your cake border so you don't get frosting on it. I really don't care. I will just clean it up because I really don't want to have to make those. So, yeah. So as you go down the sides and kind of mix, or not mix it in, I don't know what I'm saying. As you go down the sides and you kind of smooth it in, you are going to get a lot of crumbs. So you're going to want to just scrape off your spatula every once in a while as you pull it down the sides so crumbs don't get everywhere. Now this cake is great for like a birthday, for a graduation, if someone's super into soccer, maybe even like if your kid's on a soccer team and you just want to give them like a victory cake. It's super easy to make and so cute. And literally you start with a chocolate cake, which you could even buy if you wanted to and mix the fillings. And you could buy it at like the grocery store and just add the soccer ball on top. I think any kid would love the cake, but I kind of like to do things all homemade, so I'm just kind of dragging, as you can see from the top, just kind of using whatever frosting I have on the top of my cake, around my cake. Just getting a nice and even. As you can see, I'm getting a nice even layer on there. Not super thin like a Necca cake normally would be, but that is not, we're not finished here yet. We're just going to go around it one more time, and then I will show you guys how I make this delicious looking cake a little bit naked. So just filling in any gaps. It's very important you do that. I did have a little mishap where when I got my cakes out of the pan, one of them ripped. So I'm trying to be very cautious that it doesn't do that again because that would not be fun. Just going to scrape off my spatula and put it to the side. Then we'll put this little can to the side. Now there is something that I have here that is, you can buy them super cheap. They're like 50 cents literally on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. But it's just like a flat-sided icing froster. And what I like to do, personally, is I like to start on the side and just go around a couple times, starting with soft pressure, and then as I go, just kind of doing it like that. So you start seeing a little bit of the cake kind of peeking through. This turns really well. And then you're going to do the exact same thing and scrape it off. Oh, didn't scrape that off very good. I do not have like the professional metal grade bench scrapers, so this really works. But the reason we're scraping off the spatula is we're trying to get rid of all this excess frosting and just have a beautiful naked cake. Now I will show you guys in a second why we start on the sides and not on the top, and it all has to do with getting that perfect edge. But of course you want to make sure on the sides it looks just as you want it. I'll even get kind of level with it just to make sure it looks perfect, and I actually love the way this is turning out. Looks so cool. So make sure that your little thingy, scraper, is completely, not completely, but kind of mostly clean, not any excess. And then on the sides, and I'm actually, you know what, you can use the scraper, but I'm going to use a little tilted spatula, little angled spatula, I forgot what I call it, but, and you're just going to go on the sides. See how beautiful and clean that edge is? As you go though, make sure you scrape off your brush because you don't want any excess frosting getting on the top. And this just gives you a very clean edge. If you ever see how cake can sometimes, even with just frosting, look like it has a beautiful fondant on it, it's really because they've mastered the technique, just like this, that gets you that perfect edge. So we're just going to keep going around the top of the cake, very carefully flicking it in, scraping it off. Like I said, you don't want any excess frosting on the top. Just kind of scraping it off here. Now I'm just going to clean this off and I'm going to go back over this side. And I'll even kind of drag it around across the top rather than just a tiny bit, just to make sure that I get all of that frosting off the top and make it nice and even. So then the very last thing I'll do is just kind of go over the top again with my spatula until I'm happy with it, making sure that all the edges are just as I want them to be. This is going to be a very fun cake, and it's going to be, once we have the ball on top, it's not going to matter what it looks like. But there you go, that's a super easy Necca cake. Now we're going to get into the part where the fun stuff happens. Alright, so now you have your Necca cake, and we're going to get into the fun stuff. So first off, the fun stuff is the decorating, by the way. So first off, I have these little bitty cupcake sticks, or not cupcake sticks, cake pop sticks. I've used these before. You're going to need about 4 to 5 of these, maybe even 6. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do with these. So one thing that we have on our soccer ball cake for support are cake boards. Now without these holding up the support of that, or wooden dowels, or jumbo straws, it's going to start sinking into the cake. So we want to have some kind of support. So holding it up, I'm just kind of basically seeing how high it needs to be. I kind of am sticking it against the cake just to get reference as to how it needs to be. And then I'm taking my my scissors, I can't talk, and just kind of cutting it on the line. This doesn't have to be perfect. They are a little bit hard to cut because the paper is so hard. I think I'm going to switch to a knife because that might work better. And you're just going to cut it right there. Holy cow. There we go. Took me forever. And then you're going to take it and you're just going to stick it in. I'm going to stick this one in the middle. It's going to go all the way, and I'm just going to get my nail to push it down. What this is going to do is it's going to support our cake, and that's really important to us that we get a cake that is not sinking in, especially when it comes to transporting. And this is a lot harder than I thought it would be, so yeah. I really wish I had a strong husband to do this for me.
Hi.
And so we're going to take this one and put them all around. Now I'm going to do it on all angles of the cake. Now I have my wooden dowels. I got my little popsicle sticks in the cake right there. I don't know if you guys can tell. These will be covered up once we get that cake on there. So keep that in mind. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Oreos, and I have a little bowl right here. And we are going to separate the cookie from the cream. So I have a little knife right here. And all I'm doing is just separating the cream from the cookie and putting the cookies in this big baggie. Keep in mind, we're going to smash the heck out of this. So if you have a little one lying around, not lying around, like just have them laying around, but if you have a kid in your house, you can have them do this. This is a fun craft that they can do with you. Let them feel like they are important and part of this. Now, if you see that there's a little bit of cream on there, it's not a big deal. You just want to remove the bulk of it. This is going to become a powder, in a sense, and it's going to look just like dirt. So like I said, I have my bowl that I'm putting my scraps in. Do not throw this away. You can use them for other things. You can use them for different recipes and whatnot. But yeah, so you can just do this with as many cookies as you want. I'm going to do about 3 more cookies, like front and back, I guess, and do it. Ideally, you want it to come off like this. It's much easier to do. And you have a big baggie right here. Now, we are going to smash them, like I said, and it's going to create them more like a dirt texture. What I love about using Oreo cookies or chocolate cookies is that they have almost like a sandy texture to them. Chocolate in general kind of has like a sandy kind of texture when it comes to cookies, and it works in our favor. Now, you could just go ahead and crush up the rest of these cookies you had for the filling. I personally want to get as little cream as I can on them because I want it to look more like dirt. You can take this to another level and have maybe like a little worm peeking out of the ground if you wanted to. Make it really fun for a kid's birthday. Or you could do like little bugs, or you can do anything with it. Now, you could do this on a vanilla cake if you wanted to and just have it look like a soccer ball on top of a vanilla cake. But I really wanted to have kind of the immolation of dirt, make it look like dirt. We are not finished with the sides of the cake. I will show you guys what we're going to do in just a little bit. So we're just going to take a nice wooden rolling pin, not used for hubbies. Just want to point that out. It is not used on hubbies. No hubbies were harmed in the filming of this video. And you're just going to take it, and I do have a kid. Hey, Jared.
What?
You want to be in this video?
Okay.
Okay, I have my little one, actually my husband, gonna come. You can come over to the side if you want.
Oh, other side?
Come in front of the camera.
That side.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Bucket, go lay
Good.
down. Very dysfunctional video. You can have your hubby come over if you want, and you're gonna smash the heck out of this.
Gotcha.
Wait until my hands are gone. Go. Okay, you're doing it wrong already.
No.
So now to start on the sides of the cake, I said we were going to do something with those. And you're actually going to take some of your cookie crumbs. This is completely optional, but like I said, I really want this to look like dirt. And so you're going to take it in your hands It's not very fun when you have long nails because it kind of gets in there. And you're just kind of bring it up the sides. And if you want, you can leave kind of a border around the edges. It just creates kind of a look of dirt. Super duper cool, super fun, and super easy. Plus, we have Oreos throughout this entire cake, so it makes it even better. Now, my hands are sticking to the frosting. Don't make it perfect. Don't have it completely covered. Have little areas where there are inconsistencies. This is supposed to look like dirt, and last time I checked, dirt is not the prettiest thing that there is. But I'm going to continue going around the sides, creating this cool-looking dirt effect, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we got this cake nice and covered in these beautiful cookie crumbs. How cool does this look? All the dirt everywhere. Looks like you literally just dug your ball into the ground. I love it. So Jared is almost finished with his soccer ball, and then we're going to put that on top. Right now, though, we're going to put this to the side, and we're going to start working on our green frosting. Now, like I said, I did decide to opt for store-bought frosting. Not the same as making it yourself. I honestly prefer making it myself. Very, very sweet frosting situation going on. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm actually just gonna use the same knife that I used a second ago. And we're just going to stir in a little bit of green food dye. Now, I did do a test run of this with some old frosting that I need to throw out. And I found that mixing a little bit of black with green kind of works. So in a minute, I'm going to go grab my black, which I forgot in the kitchen, and go ahead and start this. In fact, Jared, could you grab me the black food coloring? So, first thing I'm going to do before I add anything in, it says on the top, it has like a little dot. Is that it? Perfect. Thanks, babe. I'm going to just take my knife right here, just kind of loosen it up from the sides. Now, you can transfer this to a bowl if you want, but I want to dirty up as few dishes as I can. First off, the house is already a disaster. Second off, why dirty up dishes when you don't have to? So for this, you're going to start off with about 2 to 3 drops of black. Now, we're not going to stop there, I promise. To that black, you're going to add a pretty hefty squirt of green. And you're just going to mix it in. This frosting is cream cheese frosting. I love the way it tastes. It's pretty thick, so it works good for this. This is a messy, messy project, so if you have a man with strong arms, you could definitely get them to do this. I happen to be pretty awesomely buff myself. Not really. I don't exercise. To me, eggs are side for bacon, even though I don't like eggs. I'd rather claim that instead of having to work out. So as you can see, it's starting to turn gray. This happened to me this morning, and it actually ended up turning out perfect in the very end. So you're just going to keep mixing it. The more you mix, the more it's going to start turning into that beautiful dark green. I did find I had to add a little bit more of that green into there this morning, so I'm going to do that again. A nice, pretty hefty squirt of green. You do want way more green than you have black. The black is really just to add that little bit of richness you need in the color and make it a little bit darker. So we're just going to mix this in here pretty thoroughly. Definitely a good arm workout. And this just creates more of a smoky kind of green rather than a pastel spring kind of green. I really wanted to emulate the field. And if you ever look at a picture of a soccer field, picture here by the way, you'll see there's like the lighter, brighter green. There's also more of the painted green they have. It's a little more dark. And that's kind of what we're emulating here. I didn't want to go with a bright green. I wanted it to be a little more subdued and muted, and that's exactly what we got here. So make sure you scrape down all the sides of your jar, bring it to the top, and mix it in a little bit. I think I'm going to need a tiny bit more green in this. And then I promise I'm done with the food color. Literally, just go back and forth until you get exactly what you want. So I'm just going to keep mixing this in. Thank you, by the way, for joining me today in my first ever baking video. I'm sorry about all the noise. We live in an apartment, so there's water faucets, there's cars going by, we have a balcony, so it makes it a lot harder when it comes to filming in my apartment, but it's still fun and enjoying it. Plus, it's really cool when Jared gets to be part of it, too. So now, woo!
Sorry.
You scared me, actually, for a second. You're a little woohoo. I scare so easily. So now we got a crazy green that's coming out the sides. Put this to the side and grab yourself a bag. So this is just a pastry piping bag. We got some scissors here, and then we also have a coupler, which I don't know where it went. I'm going to go find my coupler. So now that I have my coupler, I'm going to attach it into my bag, dropping things on the ground, of course. So the way you attach a coupler, and if you don't know what a coupler is, it literally just allows you to either change out the piping tips or attach the piping tips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of figure out where I need to cut this. Just kind of eyeballing it, however you want to do it. And then what I'll do is I'll take a number 15 tip from the set I have. I'm not sure if it's a number 15 all in, but it's a leaf tip. And I'll take some green frosting that we just made, and I'm going to start scooping it in. I will fold over the bag. You don't have to have all the green frosting. I may end up being able to save it for another project later on, so I'm just going to be careful not to use all of it. I'm just going to kind of stick it in here so it's easier to scoop in / spoon in. It isn't like a super thick frosting, so it should just kind of fall into that bag for me. That is good. I'm just going to use about half of it in that pastry bag. Now you can use a little bit of powdered sugar just to make it thick again if you want to. Something I do highly suggest is taking a flat surface and going ahead and piping a little bit, seeing how it's going to turn out. It is a little bit more runny than I normally would like, so I would probably next time add a little bit more powdered sugar. I mean, it is store-bought frosting after all. So then on the cake, we're just going to add the top of our cake, and then we're going to go around it with a little bit of the green frosting. Alrighty, y'all, so we got our cake, and look how cool the soccer cake Jared made. If you guys want to know how to do this, like I said, give it a like, and he will go to the channel. Yeah! So this is going to go on our cake. As you can see, I'm not going to put it on yet. That's kind of how it sits. So it's about, all together with the cake board, about the size of it. Now you can go around it and trim off some of the edges on it if you want on the actual cake board. I ended up cutting a bigger cake board, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit. I didn't know how big I was going to need it. But you probably need about a 6-inch cake board. These pans that I use for this are the Rosanna Pansino pans. If you guys want to check those out, I'll have a link down below to them. But anyway, I'm just going to kind of go around this just because I did not estimate it.
No,
I got it. You're good. I'm almost finished. Just one more edge. Did not think this through completely, but I literally just took a 10-inch cake board and made it work for this. So now this will work much better. So we're just going to go ahead and prop this on. What do you think? How should we go? You want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give this to you. And then you figure out how you want to do it.
This is the front of it?
Whichever, it doesn't matter.
Alright.
You can pretend it's...
Go crazy.
This looks so cool. Awesome.
There
That's
we
cool.
go. Ta-da!
So, something we are going to do is take some cookie crumbs. Do you want to do this part?
Yeah. Gotta fix fondant.
I got nails. They're just for cutting fondant. This cake would be so cool, like I said, for any occasion, but we are using it for it going away. So this, I think, which side we can do is the front of the cake?
I was gonna do this side.
This side is the front?
Yeah.
So we're going to put some cookie crumbs right here. Just kind of, you could even have some on top of the ball, just because you want it to look like someone just kicked it real hard and it just kind of landed in the dirt and just was so hard that it blew everything kind of everywhere. This is so cute. Okay, now you may not see the vision yet, but you're about to. We're going to take this store-bought frosting we just talked about. I did add about a little over a quarter cup of powdered sugar to the frosting, just so that it would thicken up a little bit because it was sloshing over and it ended up being a good consistency. So, you're going to want to go around the sides and pipe. What the goal of this is to make it look just like it's coming out of the ground. So, hopefully you guys can see that. We can actually do a zoom in on this for you, so you can see a little bit better. Which am I going over? So as you can see, we're going around the cake, adding this fun little layer of green frosting. I just dripped some somewhere. But it doesn't really matter if it's perfect because it's supposed to look not perfect, I guess. And then you can also go around the top, and I'm just going to show you here, and add like a second layer for texture, and just keep going around it until you get the desired result. Jared, do you want to try?
Sure.
You want to give it a go? You're going to squeeze with the hand up here, and then guide with that hand.
Cool.
So as you can see, we're getting a really cool kind of ruffled effect on here, and it's just making it look like grass and then it coming out of the ground. Now while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and grab some cookie crumbles, whatever we have left in here. And I'm going to show you a cool little thing we can do with this on this area that we've already piped 2 layers. And we're just going to make it look like dirt by sprinkling cookie crumbles on it. See how cool that looks? We're going to show you guys a close-up picture right here of how cool the cookie crumbles look on it. And don't be afraid to just kind of rub it in there. We want it to look like a ball that's been coming out of the ground. Now, if I didn't mention, my coworker is actually leaving to pursue refereeing full-time, so this is a perfect cake for him as a going-away cake.
A little smaller. Ta-da!
Okay. So, you're not going to want to make them too big because then it's going to overtake the cake. And you don't have to have 2 layers all the way around the cake. I'm doing this cake with you guys, first on, hands on. I was having a few issues with the leaves on the side sticking. I did figure out you're going to want, if you have the cake board there, you're going to want a tiny bit of lip, which we do have. I did leave a little bit of lip on there. And what the lip is going to do is to give it a place to stick, because what it was doing is latching onto the cookie crumbles and just having nowhere to stick. So you either want to put frosting in the area that it's going to be adding the leaves, or you're going to want to have a lip around your cake board. See, I keep losing my train of mind. So I'm just going to go under here, just kind of adding it here and there. Now, it's not really having any issue sticking where I have the frosting, even if it does touch the cookies, because it has that frosting to stick to. Tighten this off again. So just like that. And I did learn another thing. You're not going to want to hold it like this, like flat sticking in. You're going to want it to be pointing this way. So the V kind of like sticks into it, so it's going to be kind of like that. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll put a picture on the camera for reference, or on the screen for reference. But yeah, just kind of go around until you're happy with it. Does it look good?
I would say it looks pretty good. Just a little more cookie crumbs and it's ready to go.
Alrighty. Just I want to add one more here because perfectionist hashtag. Let's try a perfectionist hashtag. We deserve our own. And then cookie crumbles. I'll let Jerry do this. So as you can see, how cool do the cookie crumbles look? Just kind of all over it. Like I said, just take a few cookie crumbles in your hand. I'm actually going to take them from the side because it'll be easier than having to dig in the bag. And just take some from your hand and rub them around the ball, because then it gets in those cracks and looks just like a real soccer ball. The thing is, it's a cake. Everyone's going to know it's not a real soccer ball, but if you can just kind of add those little details in it that make it look almost like it's going to jump out at you, then there you go. There is a really easy soccer cake, super fun, it's super messy, and what's great about this cake, my favorite thing about it, is you can be as messy as you want. You don't have to have even lines or anything, because like I said, you're rubbing in that cookie crumbs, you're making it all messy, so really, don't really stress out about it or anything if it's not perfect, because that's kind of the point of this cake, is to be a super easy soccer cake. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. For more cool videos like this, subscribe, like, and comment down below what kind of videos you want to see in the future, and to get Jared to show you guys how he made the soccer ball. See you guys later. Bye! This is Jared.